Well, it seems like we had a very interesting day with the shooting in Washington. And then there was another shooting, I can't recall, with FedEx. Um, and then we have Trump that is now, they're saying, yes, he is being investigated for trying to stop the Russian investigation that they were doing on him. And then they came out and said the way that the leaks that I guess Trump has been talking about that are illegal is different people going to their different colleagues and trying to get advice, um, speaking on the situation, and um, that's what they do. And then like once it gets to a third or fourth party, you know, um, that might just happen to say something to the press, or it's not really a leak, but they're when you're going to somebody for counseling on an issue that maybe the president had made you uncomfortable, or maybe compromising, um, or impeding on your doing your job. Um, but it's been a very interesting day. I mean, I was just well, like I knew something was gonna happen. I knew there was gonna be more shootings because we've been having a pattern um, of these shootings, like ever since Oklahoma. Well, really before that, I think like in Berkeley, wasn't it? Where the first time they had a sniper that was up in like the clock tower, and that was like in the '60s. But ever since Oklahoma, where we had a white supremacist um, that blew up that Oklahoma building, and I don't know why they always end up really hurting children uh, and young folks the most in that situation. But it seems very sad. It seems like we're in a very vulnerable time. I think that uh, when Trump did his 9-day uh, world little tour there, um, he's shown a weakness that he has, but it also shows the rest of the world the ability that we will continue to, function as a country. Um, and I think we have a lot of experience because you can change presidents every 4 to 8 years, so our government has experience in um, um, keeping business going. We'll see. I don't know how the Republicans are going to act if they understand um, the hostilities that they have festered up to where they could have somebody that could camp out since March looking for an opportunity, I guess, to pull off this shooting that he did. Um, I would say he failed miserably, except for he did shoot some people, and they are two people very in critical condition. Um, so, um, but I think it does draw attention to the fact that I think Trump does fester up a lot of hate. That there's been a lot of lies since the day one. Um, uh, with the briefing. They haven't did briefings, because like a lot of people that are that pay attention to the briefings and stuff, they like I didn't start with Trump. I had stopped listening to him after that first briefing that Spencer had, press briefing, and the way that he went about it, I was like, oh my god, that was so bad, so bad. It was. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. He didn't have a briefing. Uh, a briefing is usually they exchange of some information, so you get an understanding of what's going on, and and where you could ask them, could you find out, about this or that, The only thing that I think was probably very confusing for me because I didn't know if I was happy or not is when that one guy left North Korea. Now, I don't know. They had a good picture of him still in off the wall. 15 years was sort of harsh. I don't. I really don't think that. I think he was up there like some that like that's like a lot of my problems with some of these people that are Christians or whatever. That they're usually when they get caught, they get away. Oh, they're really a good person and blah blah blah. They got excuses, whatever. They usually squeeze by, but he was in North Korea, and he wasn't squeezing by. So I don't know what they did to him. Um, but uh, and who was that? I can't think of his name. The basketball player. Rodney. Uh, anyway, we got about. Uh, I can't believe I can't think of his name. Um, uh, but anyway, North Korea is very interesting. Trying to think of that. Uh, oh well, I'll think of his name way after I get off the internet. But North Korea is very interesting because I think that white Americans really don't comprehend somebody not liking them for their color, like like somebody thinking of white American as criminals, um, or as pimps, uh, kidnappers of children for um, sex, slavery, warmongers, um, and disease spreaders, uh, especially like syphilis, uh, gonorrhea. And if you can imagine, like around here, like I really think like it's gonna be very interesting because like with the people around here and the way they act, like this couple up there, like to them, like I know that I'm not gonna get that book back. She's probably gonna talk to me ever again over that book because it was all in sex. And when I called her to ask her about it, no feedback. They can't really, because like I could tell like with me, I found it like uh um just like it really just really like almost threw up reading it. Some of the stuff they was doing. It's like I even told her, I'm like, because they was like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, that licking the asshole and all in that area could get hepatitis C. You know, so there's certain things you don't do. Um, but at the end of the book, the 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 guy he had AIDS and he had it for a while because like he was talking about his AIDS scare earlier, in in the book, and he was like almost suicidal, so you could tell like somebody was just trying to, or like I don't know, but it but he was like very promiscuous, and the women that he was going with, they were like all really just prostitutes. But it was so ridiculous. But she was like, and I know like part of the book, like when the girl's talking about how she makes this money, how she, like she show up in a mink coat and no clothes on underneath. And one thing I found very interesting and very true is that all of them uh, hated their mother. Um, all of them that was overly sex. The main reason is because of the neglect of their mom by leaving them around her male friends that were with, like, most of them had moms that uh, uh, that ended up being single moms and ended up really being played by sexual pedophiles. Um, uh, and that goes for the boy and the girl, and they become overly active, and because it's such a young age, you know, they got introduced to sex. Of course, like the children will believe that, oh, the oldest profession in the world is prostitution. You know, when like I think common sense would guide us otherwise, because in small groups that you probably had to come and survive in, and bigger groups that you had to come to survive in, especially in small groups, you would couple up. So anyway, but it would be food, uh, shelter, maybe some fire or something like that. That would probably be uh, some of the more important things that primitive man would probably use to barter or um, find a way that they might be able to get a hold of if somebody else had it. It'd have been food, food, clothing, shelter, water. I can see water as being a big means of income. Um, Especially in desert, dry regions, or. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But um, the daughter, the mom, talks about the sexual abuse and the physical abuse that she had. Then, like, her one daughter that comes over, it was introduced to physical abuse as an infant through a hip broken, and she got her kid taken away. Some question uh, to whom might have done it. But anyway, so even though the abuse that she had was so devastated, now she's bipolar schizoid, and we got another guy, he's schizoid too, and um, bipolar, and there's other schizoid girl over here. Like they hear voices, but the thing is like I noticed their family bullies them and agitates them, because like I went and talked to this one guy, the male, and he's severely damaged. Uh, there's different extremes, just like there's different extremes from the behavior and attitudes from, like, if you have multiple children, they might all have similar you and your husband traits or ideas, but they all might exhibit it in a variety of ways, different extremes, and these are fully extreme. But like, well, let me go with like, well, with the boy, right? Like, his aunt, she's like, I'm like, he told me he's bipolar, and she yells out, "Hey, you bisexual? You bisexual?" Well, that's what happened to him, because I did have a little talk with him, and uh, he clicked over to start lying, but there for a minute he's saying he had bad reactions. He's having bad side effects from the medicine, uh, physical abuse and sexual abuse to where like he's totally conscious of speaking this to me, Yeah, but it goes until like such a young age that he doesn't recall any other type of way uh, anybody's treated them. So then they bully them for their inappropriate behavior, and and sometimes like, and you could tell that they would have a problem if he wanted to be gay. I don't think he's bisexual. I think that he's been sexually abused uh, by male and female. And then they come across other illness compound with it. Well, then what the bipolar part comes in when not really later on, but he smokes a lot of marijuana. He's gonna smoke anything. Smokes a lot of crap. Um, and he's been taken advantage of by the dope dealers and coerce him. But he's not gonna get any better. Same thing with the other girl over here. She dyed her hair some green, and I was trying to tell her that that is not what makes her crazy. Her hair. Oh, it's just like I have this thing over my face, and this place is just full with um, um, undercover cops. Yeah, they're always looking for dope dealers. It's like all you gotta do is like wait every year. They're gonna have different ones that are being, they're made right here in the little high schools. And it's to me it's no convenience that that's the only thing. Mostly they filter out, and then somewhere in their late 20s or early 30s, mostly after they came out of jail, or they just get to an age where uh, um, they have to work or whatever. Then they go to the fast food job. Anyway, so she's like, I had well, anyway, I like you get so harassed by the undercover cops with their type of um like they mostly listen they, they might have some understanding, or somebody told them a little bit about human behavior, but like it was like a paragraph of maybe like a 4-year course you have to take, or maybe they got an hour lecture here on one particular area, but it doesn't pertain wholly only to that area, or it, to more than like 1 or 4% of the population. Um, because again, people have various. You'll find even differences in any type of mammal. Like you could get 3 dogs from the same mother, the mother bitch, and find them vastly different. So and same thing with any mammal, or any animal, or that's just the way life is. But a snowflake is not going to be that much different from another snowflake, that it won't have the same chemical compounds and whatever to that you would recognize it as a snowflake, and it'd still be. But anyway, but I noticed like they get teased, they get bullied. They're making fun of her hair, you know, telling her, this 31-year-old girl, you have to be home at 10 o'clock because she has a drug problem. Anyway, so what I'm getting to is the point is that we have a very flammable situation because of the years of the cocaine and the heroin addiction, or that is sort of like, I guess you would say it's um and the sexually transmitted diseases. You compound that with childhood trauma, such as whooping and or sexual abuse, that when they become teenagers they show this schizoid type of attitude. And okay, I'm gonna pull it all together because I'm saying Trump and Republicans are dealing with people that are have the poor that have massive student loans. They and most of it, uh, um, you can't get rid of it during bankruptcy. Most of it, these schools was not delivering what they promised and faulting the student. And nobody has a problem with faulting the customers. Um, uh, and then we have came out of the '90s, the epidemic. So we have a drug epidemic, or dependence on uh, highly like drugs you really don't function on, like cocaine and heroin, for just example. Um, and then alcohol too, and um, which I think are those three are more harmful than marijuana, because because of the actions that people behave on them. I've never seen anybody on marijuana, you know. Not you might blame that to somebody that might want to hear that, but the actually witness or seen anybody OD or anybody go do something violent on marijuana, never. Cocaine, heroin, and alcohol. Yes, I have alcohol quite a bit. I've seen people buy quite a bit on alcohol, but so we're at so that's where I think we are in society, to where you might say that, like, it's like the teenager coming through that stage where the trauma from their childhood it compounds with maybe other stressors like getting bullied in school, term paper, parents divorcing, or whatever it might be, cause snap. And I think that's where we are now, because the Republicans have not been uh, representing the America in the best interest, and they've said so where they're trying to say, "Oh, we're trying to destroy Obama's legacy," when uh, most people's trying, and they're not in that category where they're worried about, you know, uh, if I can give me like $2, I'll go get me a hot tamale over here. I give me two hot tamales or something, or or like it's at the end of the month, and I got to pay this electric bill, and it's outrageous because it's been so hot. We've been having a heat wave out here. You know, so and people would uh, uh, they might not be paying attention to every other day, but they do pay attention as their quality of their life slowly deteriorates. I don't know if there's enough uh, uh, internet, telephone, or games that people could play or watch, or movies they could watch that could really change, like once you're financially get devastated, that it can change that situation, except for maybe getting some money. And I have to admit, like, even though this is a guy who try to, the propaganda is such that it's very hard for them to live up to being these gangsters and prostitutes, which reminds me. Oh, 23 cents. I'll go ahead and go over. Reminds me of like a situation when I mean how we could get caught up in the propaganda and not deal with the reality. There was what was her anime? She came by my house and she wasn't breathing right. Wanted a cigarette. She went up to Ward Road. James Earl May, he rest in peace. May she rest in peace too. He was supposed to be mowing my yard, but he was always, he just couldn't, respect other people's property how he would like them to respect his. In other words, he's sort of a thief and a liar. But anyway, he's like, I see him sitting back there looking all crazy, and he goes, "Annie Mae, I just died. Just a second." and he's like there. So anyway, um, he drives me up there where she's at. Everything had calmed down and left, but she was up there in the with their, like dancing on the table naked for crack, and they started having sex with him. Now, when I listened to the guys describe the situation and how they started having sex, she was already when she fell on the table and the first guy had her, she was probably dead then. So they probably had like a few guys, I think, probably six, I don't know, however many, until I guess Rigamosa was trying to trying just maybe on the hinge because it doesn't take long for Rigamosa for them to get stiff or for death to start taking over. Um, uh, but they realized she was dead. Well, I do believe that all the guys that was up in that room, if not dead, are very sick now. No comprehension of their behavior, no understanding of the results of their actions, or if there's even going to be any reaction. Um, and I see that a lot with Mel, and the Republicans are all this Mel, as they, you can see them in these hearings, how they spoke to like the only woman there, and or how they try to shut down women, you, you know, um, uh, and the only thing in the favor of them trying to do that is that they they're gonna trip over their tongue because if men are just worried about it's all about their privilege and them having fun, they really do need women around to to do the work because they're not going to do it. That's why secretaries sometimes get very very high pay. You know, CEOs, secretaries. But anyway, so all I want to say, round it up real quick, is that I think it's going to get worse unless they can get Trump and his people out. And I think they're really going to have to, to solve this problem is to fix the problem at the base. Not all this blaming and excuses and stuff. If we have a problem with somebody hacking our election, then we need to fix it so they can, or go back to paper, or where you could just count one, two, just get it off the computer. Um, I think that the only way we can really get jobs starting is to rethink the way we're doing our schools, rethink the way we're funneling money out in a lot of the education system for other to be used in other places in their cities and towns. I think that we need to also think about really getting aboard with reusable energy. Get aboard with I think all you have to do is fix our schools, and we could fix America, fix our food, and we could have healthy children. Uh, I think that the sex industry, that the way it is, it causes a lot of harm, the damage, uh, um, and um, that type of thinking with cause like almost all these girls, like the last 15 years, 20 years, they don't even mention college, just high school rather. Anyway, there's always that, except that gonna do a little bit better than the rest. But I just think that it's gonna get worse before it gets better. As soon as especially like that he was the person that did that today, that did this shooting, at that baseball field. Um, um, he was not the type of person I was thinking that was gonna be doing it. I was thinking to be more of a Trump supporter, but it's gonna take a while before they really realize, if ever, that you know instead of the Republicans handling the problems that would best help the American people. Uh, uh, like I'm alluding to with the school, with the food, you know, uh, maybe would it be too crazy to have greenhouses, in the schools, like, or even cheap ones. Oh, well, let me get off. I'm talking 30 minutes here, but it's gonna get worse. We see the Republicans have, you know, uh, the money they get from lobbyists as their best interests, and that's different companies and corporations. It's not the American people, and they just using the Republicans the same way that I think Russia is using Trump and his people. They're using the racial ignorance to um, to be able to wedge in there because there's a divide there in the United States, so they could wedge in there, and and the Republicans have been shown to be some very thirsty dots. Oh, excuse me. Should I say they're very hoish for money?